This was supposed to be a collaboration video with my good friend Chad Ashbrook. Some of you people might have seen him over in Killer Flicks. He's also the guy that was supposed to make a Killer Flicks tag 3 months ago, never did it. He's supposed to come over here and do the Day of the Dead review with me, never did it. But supposedly, pretty soon here, he's going to come over. We're going to do both of us are going to do 5 underrated horror remakes. But let's get to this video. But yeah, there's Chad. Look at this jackass. It's Drewski McGillicuddy's Land of the Dead movie review. That was a really long intro. Hey everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and over in Killer Flicks, the theme of the week is zombies. So I figured why not continue with my George Romero series, then the 2005 not so much classic Land of the Dead. Now, I got, a backstory behind this. I had been anticipating this movie for such a long time. There was a website called upcominghorrormovies.com back in the day that I used to visit all the time. And, I was such a fan of the original 3. And it's funny, there's a vehicle in this movie called Dead Reckoning, and that's actually what the original title for Land of the Dead was. It was Dead Reckoning, and it was supposed to be the zombies were so far past the state of decay that they were no longer a threat to the human race. And I guess the movie was gonna take place years after, which this one sort of does, but it was supposed to be like a western, like this is after the fall of man and like the rebuilding of civilization. And for some reason it couldn't get funding, because I feel like this movie should have came out in 1985.
Yeah, dummy.
Because the first 2 were 10 years apart, and then anyway, none of that matters. Let's talk about Land of the Dead. Now, this takes place, like I said, several years after the events, and we start out with, I love the opening shot where it shows all the zombies walking around, but then you get these scavengers that come in, and they're basically looting all the abandoned towns and stuff, because everyone lives in basically downtown Pittsburgh. That's where everybody lives, because it's surrounded by waterways. So the zombies, never really ventured over there. Well, right away you start to see that some of the zombies are starting to take notice to the humans going around just killing them and looting. And you've got Big Daddy, and his performance used to bother me. It's still kind of, he's no bub, basically. He's no bub. But, it's grown on me over the years, but he is basically the leader of the zombies. And they also, like, when they're looting the town, they have the Dead Reckoning with them, and it shoots off fireworks, and that distracts the zombies so that they can go through and mow them down and clear them out. And then you have the scene where Big Daddy's pushing the zombies out of the way as he's starting to notice, and then later on, the fireworks quit working. But it worked for so long. It was a good idea while it lasted. But anyway, so hold on, we'll cut this. Where am I gonna go? All right, so when we go back to the city, right, and you got this is George Romero's specialty, is he puts a big social commentary in his movies. And this one is, the rich versus the poor, because this is pretty much, come on, let's face it, this is probably what would happen if this were to have happened. You'd have the poor people and the working class, in the slums and the lower, and then, your upper rich, the rich people up in the skyscraper, called Fiddler's Green. And there's a video game based on this movie called Land of the Dead, Road to Fiddler's Green, and it is probably the worst game I've ever played, like, in my life. You start out at a little farmhouse, I guess a nod to Night of the Living Dead, and then you're supposed to work your way to the city. Impossible. Like, you can't even kill the first zombie in this game. It's horrible. But we're not here to talk about the game. We're talking about the movie. So we're in the city, and then you meet your main character, Riley, which this guy irritates the shit out of me, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. Every time I watch the movie, I try to figure it out, but it's just something about him irritates me. Also, his sidekick, Charlie. Something bugs me about him, but Charlie's actually grown on me over the years a lot more than Riley. And then you go down and you get to see, how people spend their time. Basically, there's carnivals going on where you get your pictures taken with the zombies and stuff like that. And then there's zombie fights where I guess they usually have dogs and cats, but in this particular instance, Asia Argento, Dario Argento's daughter, gets thrown in a cage with some zombies, and they fight over her, and then Riley rescues her, and they get sent to jail because they killed a little midget. And then it goes back to John Leguizamo's character he has gotten some cigars and some extra alcohol for Dennis Hopper's character, who plays the villain. And I guess this movie doesn't really have that many quotable lines like the other three, but I guess this line is good enough.
And many of us will be too if you don't stay focused on the task at hand. Zombies, man. They creep me out.
Zombies, man. They creep me out. Okay, anyway, so Leguizamo is taking the cigars and this extra stuff that he got for Dennis Hopper, which Dennis Hopper is basically the head honcho. He owns. He's the guy. He's the guy in the sky. But John Leguizamo's character takes him the stuff that he had got him. Okay, he takes him the stuff. And he's telling him about, hey, with that 20 grand you owe me, I finally got enough to get my own place here in Fiddler's Green. And he essentially tells him, you're low life, you're trash, this ain't the place for you. This is for us snobby, upscale, Richie type folks. So you working class stiffs, you stay down in the basement. They want you to stay down in the basement. They don't want you inside Fiddler's Green because it's for the classy people. Okay, so people like me, we wouldn't belong there. We shouldn't even be allowed inside the building. We should just be left outside in the cold. So that pisses John Leguizamo off. So he tells him, I know what's going on around here. A little bit of blackmail. Well, Dennis Hopper calls security, has that taken care of. So John Leguizamo goes out and steals Dead Reckoning. And that's where we get the movie, okay? And then meanwhile, the zombies are making their way towards the city, and they're not afraid of the water anymore. They're just going to walk right through that shit. So while he's stealing Dead Reckoning, the zombies are breaking into the city. So then when Dennis Hopper finds this out, he has Riley, played by whatever, who cares? Him and his friends have to go get Dead Reckoning back. And, so they do that. But let's just talk about, the CGI. This movie has some of the best practical effects ever used. Especially in a zombie movie. And then they fucking ruin it with fucking CGI. There's this one badass scene where this zombie's head's hanging on the back of his... He just has his spinal cord. And he flips... Maybe I can find it and show it to you, but his head goes whip, and he bites somebody. But it would have looked so much cooler if they wouldn't have used the CGI. And a lot of the headshots in this movie, overly CGI'd. Greg Nicotero's death, because he does a little cameo, as they're cutting his head off, and then his head actually cuts off. It's like, dude, why didn't you just get a dummy and use that? It would have looked real. This looks like you used CGI. There's so much bad CGI just spliced in, just in random moments. Even some of the backdrops in the movie just look horrible. And I'm never going to get over it. It's It's like George sold out when he made this movie, and it breaks my heart to say it. So don't get mad at me, Robbie. If you're watching this, don't come at me all crazy, because yeah, it's when George slowly started to go senile, or if that's what happened. Because I don't know if any of you have seen the rest of the movies that I'm gonna have to endure. Like, and I just feel like this movie could have been so much better. And a lot of the acting is just laughably bad, especially the people getting torn apart, and like the soldiers and the extras. It's like, really, like, at least in the 70s or Dawn of the Dead, it was, you know, the 70s was a good enough excuse for that type shit. This was 2005. It's like, you couldn't find some better extras? Like, come on now. Oh God. So, yeah, let's go back to where were we? So, he's going to get John Leguizamo, and he encounters him, and, you know, they have their back and forth. John Leguizamo gets shot, then he gets bit, and then he goes back, and he has this little scene with Dennis Hopper. It's a bittersweet moment. But then, you know, all the zombies are finally breaking in to Fiddler's Green, and everything's coming to an end. And then, like, this movie's like kind of anticlimactic, because they come in and kill everybody, and then the zombies leave, and there's not really anything that they do other than shoot off a couple rockets in Dead Reckoning, and then it's we're going to Canada. I don't know. Until these other two came out, this was my least favorite. It's like great, even better than great, and then that's okay, and then I guess that's good enough, and then it's just like, God. So what am I going to give this movie? I guess I'll be nice. I'll give it a 6.5. It's a worthy entry, considering what the later entries are. Yeah, so have you seen Land of the Dead? Or were you just as disappointed in it as me, or did it grow on you even more over the years? Because like I do, I try to watch this every once in a while. I probably hadn't seen it, who knows, but yeah, maybe next time it'll be even better. But some of these characters just ruin the movie for me. Rest in peace, George. We love you and we miss you. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I gotta go to bed.
'Cause I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all. Y'all think I don't get girls, 'cause I ain't very tall. If she see my stacks, I bet you that she calls. You know that I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all.